worldwide solar and energy storage podcast at Intersolar San Diego. Stay classy, San Diego. Whoa, whoa.
Here we are at Intersolar in San Diego. We have the solar games behind us, but when the people over there are clapping, they're clapping for us. My guest right now is Curtis Marion, and Curtis works for Aurora Solar.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. And thanks for having me on the podcast today.
Yeah.
So my name is Curtis, as you said. I'm the director of product marketing at Aurora Solar. I've been there for about 3 years. And what my job is really is to think about the ethos or the essence of the product that we're creating, and then translate that into positioning and messaging and go-to-market strategy to get it to the market in a way that really resonates with our customers and also enables sales and go-to-market to do their job.
And so maybe we should even take a step back because some people might not know what Aurora is too.
Sure. Yeah.
And so what Aurora makes software.
Yeah.
And they also acquired one of their competitors, I guess, is HelioScope.
Yep, that's right.
And they also made software. And so now you guys are all together. It's kind of a different niche, though. I think Aurora was more residential and HelioScope was maybe more commercial.
Yep.
And anyway, so you got a good share of the market as far as if you're a solar installer and you want to figure out like how to make a proposal and how much you could fit on the roof. And then they do lidar and all kinds of cool stuff to figure out like how to look at your roof and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of what Aurora does, I guess.
You nailed it. So about a decade ago, the founders, Chris and Sam, looked at solar and said, okay, there's got to be a smarter, better way to doing solar than having to get on the roof every single time. So fast forward now, it's Aurora and HelioScope are our two major products. Aurora residential, just like you said, and then HelioScope being our C&I product, so that customers and developers, our customers, the people that sell and design the products, can then do this remotely. So they can get aerial imagery, they can get lidar, and then create the 3D model and the design straight from home, saving them hours on every single project and just making it faster, safer, and reducing the soft costs that are associated with solar design.
Great. And so your job is marketing.
That's right. Product marketing.
And so how are you doing the marketing? Is it like social media or?
Yeah, all the above is really the answer. But we have, all the major go-to-market marketing motions that you can think of. So inbound, outbound. So we create a lot of resources, materials that our customers can use that have value to them, which keeps them close and keeps us as like a trusted partner for what they're doing. We're on social media. We do tons of webinars. We partner with our partner ecosystem on those webinars or in live events just like this. So, and in live events are a big way for us to get close to our customers as well. So
I bet you've never heard of OnGrid. Have you heard of OnGrid? It was a software. And so in the 2000, I think 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, something around that era, they had, from my perspective, they had the majority of the solar residential. I mean, mostly then residential was probably what it was, the software. And it was an Excel spreadsheet and they walk you through it and there's cells that were locked and I used it a lot.
Yeah.
There's another one at that time too called Clean Power Finance. But I just had the guy, Mike Bishop, that owns it now. He got it from Andy Black, the guy that founded it, on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And one of my questions is like, do you ever think that you could have been as big as Aurora if you like took a couple of different moves? And he's pretty laid back. He wasn't worried about that at all.
Nice.
But, because now it's just like some little spreadsheet that a few people still use because they don't want to change and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see the market of solar software evolve from like some guy with a spreadsheet to like a big company that has like, that buys other companies, that has like all kinds of people making, fancy software, and there's no Excel spreadsheets anywhere inside that software, I guess, probably.
Well, fancy Excel spreadsheets in the back end doing really advanced calculations, kind of talking to each other. But you got it exactly right? It was all done in these simple spreadsheets and people were climbing on the roofs, and what we needed was something that was faster, safer, just reducing the soft costs even further. And that, an expert could kind of take over. And that's where Aurora comes in. Like, we're the expert on the tech, we're the expert on the software, the simulations, we're trusted for our accuracy. Both HelioScope and Aurora kind of fall in that category. And what that really allows for our customers to do is focus on what they're best at: selling, designing, installing. So then they don't have to worry about the ones and zeros, the spreadsheets, all of the details and the intricacies that is literally a full-time job or a full company's job to maintain. So what we've done is, I think, allow for all of the installers and the salespeople to kind of just focus really on what's their main passion and what they really like to do.
Yeah, I don't miss those spreadsheet days, but it's kind of amazing some of the things. I remember people doing single line drawings, single line diagrams on Excel spreadsheets. And it's like, how do you do that? I never was that good at a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And then, the Google Sheets, I guess I use that now instead of Excel.
Yeah.
So for Aurora, like, do you know what kind of market share Aurora has right now? Or?
We're still the market leader. So we have over 7,000 customers. I think at least, 70 to 80% of the industry touches our product at some point within their project lifecycle. So we consider ourselves pretty lucky that people trust us. We work hard to maintain that as well, to make sure that our simulations are fast, our simulations are accurate, and that when you're going in front of a homeowner or you're going in front of a financier and you're trying to sell a project, you know what you're designing in HelioScope, or you know what you're designing in Aurora, you can stand behind.
So I remember when Aurora bought HelioScope, and they were just like two separate things, and they stayed that way. Is there any crossover? Are you using like common databases? Can you switch from one to the other and keep the database? Or?
Not at the moment. No, we keep them separate. There has been some work to get the UIs to look a little more similar, so that when you're in one experience and you go to the other one, you're kind of already familiar. And then there are some very distinct differences. Aurora is very US centric, where HelioScope is all over the world. And from those different customer bases, what we try to do is listen to them and listen to what their needs are. And what they told us was they actually prefer those two different experiences, at least at the moment. So we will make it make sense where we should, and where customers are saying that we should go into that direction. But at the same time, we're not going to force anything, because the last thing we want to do is disrupt any workflows or make anything more difficult for the customer. So that's why if you jump into it today, you'll see it as two different actual instances at the moment.
Yeah, because it seems to me like, let's say that you were doing something with Aurora software and you're like, oh, I want to see what this looks like in HelioScope.
Yeah.
That you could have the HelioScope just pick all the criteria off of the database from Aurora, and then you wouldn't have to re-enter inverter type and, latitude and all these different things.
Yeah. Not really a huge use case for it. We haven't heard a lot from it. And when we onboard our new customers, we train and educate. You're doing residential, let's get you into the Aurora side. If you're going to do on the CNI side, let's get you over into the HelioScope. So not a lot of crossover, but I want to go and play and see what it does look like. And if I find out something new, I'll let you know for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, cool. Yep. And so where are you heading in the future? Do you see like bi-directional electric vehicles, virtual power plants? As things get more complicated, you get like all these different variables. It used to be just like solar system, sunshine, net metering, 100% credit for net metering. And then now you have like batteries and when somebody's home and like a ton of different variables.
Yeah.
And then like utility rates going up and different types of time of use pricing. You have your grandfathering of your system going away. There's just like, there's so many different variables. Then you're going to have like the virtual power plants and you have bidirectional electric vehicles. It gets pretty complicated with all that stuff. So it must keep you guys busy. It's not just some kind of simple spreadsheet that some guy with a pickup truck can use.
I was just about to say, you teed me up perfectly for the spreadsheet line again, right? Like, aren't you glad that we have companies that are doing this and doing it really well, so that the customers can our customers can focus on what they love? But you really nailed it, right? The macro trends, as we say, that are out right now, net metering going to net billing, electricity prices just increasing, right? PJM have states that are increasing by 15%. You got Missouri asking for a 30% increase on top of an 8% increase that happened last year. It's just unsustainable. And we're at a point with grid stability where it's just uncertain. Like, you never see an article or a newspaper ad or anything coming out saying the grid is stable, the grid is ready for any more power. It's all about what's going to happen next. And when you introduce all of that stuff, what really means is that people want to produce their own power. And even more so important, as we see a lot here, as we see all the storage folks that are showing off their batteries, is that they don't just want to produce the power, they want to control the power. They want to know when they're going to use it. They want to know when they're going to export to the grid. They want to know when they're going to do peak shaving and all of that. That's what we're interested in, which makes us need to be flexible. So both on the Aurora side and the HelioScope side, stay close to our customers. Our customers are what kind of drive us, and we learn from them, and we learn from those market trends to make sure that the product kind of meets them where they're at, so that if they are getting into storage, if they're getting into PPLs, or they're getting into TPOs, or they're worrying about domestic content, we have features and attributes and ways for them to control that, so we can take care of it, but they don't have to worry about it.
So I was just thinking about like what the future might look like.
Yeah.
And so you're entering in all this data. Data is valuable.
Oh yeah.
And we need that same data and that same thought process as the system's getting installed, and even more importantly, probably after it's installed per years, like knowing when to send the, electricity one direction, when to charge the battery, when to use it, when to turn the air conditioner on and off, all that kind of stuff, when to be a virtual power plant, and with all those variables. And it seems like if you're already entering that information, you're probably thinking about it more when you're like developing and selling the project than after it's already done. And then somebody just leaves and they're like, oh, it's all your problem now. Yeah. And then the people don't know what to do, how to network all this stuff.
Right.
And so I could imagine that there might be some kind of collaboration between the software company like Aurora, the inverter companies, for the customers, of course, the utilities, a phone app. Maybe the phone will even tell you like when you're coming home from work and what to do with the air conditioner. And when to charge your electric vehicle. Should you charge it at work? Should you charge it at home? And to have all that stuff done automatically, I guess with AI or something.
Yeah. It gets complicated fast.
Yeah.
People like things that are easy, and we're running into that sort of juxtaposition at the same time. If you look at the European market, they have energy management systems almost to the point to where now it's like you have to have one, or you have to have a way to control your heat pump or your battery so that they can turn it on or turn it off based off of what the utility specs are. And that kind of answers exactly what you're saying, so that there's one system, there's one portal, you can kind of look into it and see it and be able to really manage all of those variables that you just said. So that's one way to go about it. And another way to think about it too is the input side and on the design side, and what we think and where the direction we'd love to see any industry go in terms of whole home electrification or solar plus storage, is that when you're building that design, and you said it perfectly, like you want to be thinking about it in detail. Because when you're thinking about it in detail, what you're going to do is then build a system that really, one, meets the homeowner's needs, or to the business owner's needs, so that you're a happy customer who wants to come back, who's going to tell your friends about that. In addition to that, you have this need for then closing the loop on that data. So someone needs to go back and then say, okay, now that we did this, did we do a good job? Did we achieve what we needed to do? And I think that is a gap that energy management system could definitely help with, but also working with our partners and trying to find those ways to close those gaps is definitely something that's super important.
Yeah, I can imagine that like probably what your company's doing right now is they're entering all the information, they're selling the product, and then once the project is sold, it's over. Like that's the end of your job. And it could just be just the beginning because there's so much that's going to happen in the lifetime of that system. When to do the maintenance, when to do all the, the export to import, how to select your utility rate when some new change happens that wasn't an option back when you first installed the system.
I think everyone has been rushing to get the 25D in and get all of our installations in, and we're kind of getting into this new shape of solar of what happens when the incentives are gone. So I think first people are really trying to find out, how do I survive, right? 2026 will be a tougher year than previous years. And then if you look at all of the forecasts and all the projections, like residential solar, C&I, utility, everybody's going to be okay. We're going to bounce back in 26, 27. So I think as we get to the end of this year and as we get to a larger install base, having these needs, that ability to run it, maintain it, and close the loop is super important. And in addition to what you're saying too, is when I did it the first time, I had enough bandwidth and understanding to be able to put the panels on and to get the battery. And now I'm hearing about heat pumps, and now I'm hearing about EV chargers. So for your installers, whether you're a C&I or you're a residential, here's an opportunity. What better customer than your install base, someone who trusts you, who knows you already. It's just a really big opportunity to go back to.
Great. So is that more of a future thing for like Aurora's involvement after the system's installed? Or would it be something like maybe you make a partnership with a company that's doing inverter manufacturing in virtual power plants? or maybe Aurora will acquire those companies, or they'll acquire your company, or merge, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So that there could be like more like a one-stop for every end of the project. Or perhaps another way of doing it too would be like you have your database, and then they could take all that data and then import it into their virtual power plant database or something like that.
Yeah. We're really busy. We got a lot on our plate. We're focusing a lot, PPO, storage, like things that are coming down the pipeline in the short term. But at the same time, who knows what the future will bring? Like as we start to go down that road, we know that closing this loop, closing this gap is going to be super important. And figuring out how our homeowners and how our installers are doing after the fact is definitely something that we're going to want to solve for, whether it's a partnership, an acquisition, or build it ourselves. I think that's to be determined and down the road, but definitely something we agree that would be a great way to just continue our learning and continue to mature a very, what is considered a fragmented system right now.
We interrupt you for a very important announcement. Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast has been brought to you by Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. That's right, Sean White is sponsoring his own podcast, and he wants to remind you to go check out some of his classes. You can go to SolarSEAN, that's Solar, SEAN.com, and then click on the links to check out his classes. You can check out his heat spring classes, and you can also hire him to teach classes for you, like at your company, something like that. Now back to the show.
So is Aurora Solar, you have to give me an A or B answer. Is it a renewable energy company or a tech company? I know that that's a trick question.
Yeah.
So
at our heart, we're a renewable energy company. We belong here on this floor, and that's what we believe in. We also just have to be we also happen to be very good at tech at the same time.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And I don't know if you know the story about Chris and Sam, but where they started was actually in Africa as a project installing solar for a school.
Oh, I remember something
all
like
on
that.
their own. So like at their heart, this is what they believe in. So it's where we come from.
Great. Yeah. So my girlfriend is in tech and I'm in renewable energy. So I kind of get
you
that.
You get the relationship then.
Yeah. And so like when I was driving into the San Francisco airport the other day, and so that's like kind of the heart of the tech world.
Yep.
Every billboard is about AI, you know. And so you're just like, you've probably been, do you live around there or?
I live in Portland, Oregon, but I get to travel to San Francisco for work every once in a while.
So you've seen all those billboards. It's like going to the airport to the airport to the bridge. It's just like every billboard is AI.
That's right.
And I almost think sometimes, is this just like some catchphrase or something like that? But is Aurora doing AI, I guess, or like, and how do they incorporate the AI?
So I started at Aurora as the product marketer over our AI product. So yes, we're doing it. I'm also proud to say that Aurora was one of the first ones to do it. And that, man, you want to talk about super smart people. Like our engineers that work on the computer vision and machine learning are some of the brightest, best people that I've ever worked with. So what we've built, what they have built and I've got to help market is something that really has advanced over the last couple of years. At first, it was really about getting a sales proposal out faster, right? Before AI was possible, you'd be dependent upon either a salesperson that knows how to design or going to a designer or outsourcing to get that design, which was slowing down your pipeline. With AI, you're able to draw a 3D model in Aurora at the click of a button. It used to be under 30 seconds. And within the 3 years I've been here, it's under 10 now, which is just an incredible improvement. It's as good as a human or better 75 to 80% of the time. And now what we're seeing is with the improvements that we've been making over the last 2 to 3 years, where like 70 to 90% was a sales persona that was using. Now, if we look at the data, it's 50-50. So not only is it good enough for that salesperson to go out and explain what the benefits are to the homeowner, they're also now the designers can actually click AI, get a head start on the model, and then just make adjustments instead of having to start from the beginning every single time. So that is one place where Aurora has just like led the industry. We're trusted for our accuracy, and that's where speed and accuracy really comes together. We're going to keep diving in as we expand into Germany and other markets. We just keep feeding more data into our AI models so that what we do in the US, we're then able to do in other markets as well.
In addition to this podcast being brought to you by Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast, it is brought to you by Intellectual Curiosity.
So when you're developing these AI models, how does that work? Do you go out there and partner, or like you do with somebody else? Like, what is it? Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, or like you just make your own? I'm not too sure of like how a software company like Aurora would incorporate AI, or is it just like something that's kind of above my head because I'm not an AI developer?
Yeah. So AI needs a lot of data. And the better the data, the richer the data, the better the AI is going to be. Aurora, before they had Aurora AI, also had EDS, or expert design services. So like I said before AI was there, sometimes you would outsource that to get your 3D model built by somebody else that then you can then put the panels on. So we had millions of projects just sitting within Aurora. So we take those projects, we've put it into the machine learning algorithm. It learns about what is right, what is wrong, what shapes to look for, what does an obstruction look like, but what does a panel look like, how does it identify it, puts all of those pieces together, and then starts to teach itself so that when you click that button, you're getting a little bit more accurate of a model every single time you use it.
Okay, cool. All right. And so AI is such a big thing. It's just hard for me to get a picture of how it works.
You and the whole world.
So
it's
like,
really tough.
Where do you start? Like, you don't just go like, oh, I'm going to do AI, and then you're like C:\/ or whatever.
Right.
You're going to get something from some other company. And so like, what is it that you get or when you're like going to go add AI to your product? I know like you're not going to start from scratch.
Right.
There's like all these other people that invented that wheel.
Yep.
And just like with humanity, everything builds on top of it as something else.
Yeah.
So where do you start with that? Does like Aurora go and find some AI company and go like, we want to buy your stuff, or?
Yeah. Trying to think of the best way to explain it. We didn't go out and find like a 3D modeling AI company to build a solar specific version of this. But maybe 2 or 3 clicks before that, right? We found the models, we found the algorithms, we found, this is again a little bit outside of my
So I guess the
algorithms,
like there's these, what do you call them? AI algorithms, or is AI?
I think there's ways to build these things so that the output is what you want. So you're almost like buying the plumbing and you're buying the wiring for the house in order to build the house, but nobody's building the house for you. You're actually building the house, both figuratively and literally here. So does that make sense?
Sort of. Like I remember like there was this, I can't remember what it was called, the Chinese AI thing that everybody freaked out about for a little while. Do you remember that one? I know I have it on my phone. The Chinese AI was called DeepSeek.
Okay.
And you could run it on your own computer. And it was open source.
Okay.
So you could run it. So the Chinese government isn't spying on you. Hopefully. I mean, maybe there's some backdoor. I don't know. And so you go buy something. If you have a software company, would you be buying something or using some open source AI thing? Because it's just like, you don't just go invent AI. Like it's already been invented.
Sure.
Maybe you see like the people at Gemini and ChatGPT and Claude, maybe they're, like trading employees back and forth until they kind of learn that way. But maybe I guess you probably hire those people too that used to work at some of those companies.
I mean, the people we have are computer vision and machine learning engineers. Like they understand how to make and
they're really inexpensive. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, well, maybe not, but they're worth every dollar, and especially the ones that we have. So to your point, like, are we building it completely from scratch? No. Well, who's building really anything from scratch? But are we looking for the best sort of piping and electricity and like all of that background to build the best product? That's what we're doing. And then the engineers that we have are really, to answer your question even more directly, like we are building it from scratch to the most part. It's like someone trying to build Aurora, like somebody pays us to use Aurora and then they build their work stream around that. It's even more detached than that. Like we're in the ones and zeros. We're feeding it the data. We're the one looking at if the results are coming back and not what we want. It's our engineers, our teams, and our experts that are saying, this is right, this is wrong, making that judgment and then creating the products.
Okay. All right. So I think it is a little bit of above my head. Like
you and me both.
Like figuring out, and I guess like there's going to be repositories of like information where all these coders go on and they figure out, like what things that they can share. And it's pretty amazing, like living in that area, Silicon Valley, all the stuff that they're doing. It's pretty amazing. And I was living in Mountain View by Google for a while, and it was just like seeing all that growth and all that money coming in.
Yeah.
And all the people that were like the smartest people in the world moved there. And Aurora is there too, right? San Francisco is your main offices and all that?
Yeah, we're a fully remote company, but we are based in San Francisco, and we are a renewable company at our heart, but at the same time, like we have our feet in that world. And
well, it's okay. You could be both renewable and tech.
That's right. Yeah. Your wife has taught you that you can be both, right?
Yeah.
But I think to your point, and to what I was saying before, is that like the talent of the people that we have and the dedication that we have and the lack of sort of giant egos also that we have at Aurora allows us to put out these amazing products that really help change the industry and really get more glass on more roofs. So
great. Yeah. Okay. So let's see, what do we want to tell people where to find you and famous last words?
Where you can find us is aurorasolar.com. Feel free to email me, cmerring@aurorasolar.com. And yeah, we're always open to have any conversation around residential, CNI, or anything to do with solar.
Okay, great. Well, let's do it again.
Cool. Thanks, Sean. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Curtis Marion. And thanks for listening to Shawn White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast, where you can get yourself NABCEP associated. That's the NABCEP QB Associate or NABCEP Certified. And if you didn't understand some of the things that we were talking about, hey, we didn't either, maybe. But also, if you didn't understand some of the things, you could take some of my classes and get yourself educated enough so you would know what they're talking about when you're doing the software for your inputs, for your azimuth, for your energy, for your power, all these different things. That's what you can learn about in some of my classes. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Stay classy, San Diego.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks.